everyone and welcome to my channel. Kaz here. Today I'm going to do a short video on panel knitting for the petrified. Yes, indeed, if you have had trouble with panel knitting in the past or you have not even tried it because you're scared to, and I've seen many comments on the Facebook groups that I'm on of people saying that they failed to do it, they struggle with it. I just wanted to do a quick little video to show you it's nothing to be frightened of, and for anybody that's okay with it and has no problems at all, then you get a little project to boot. Okay, so let's crack on with our Christmassy wreaths and our Christmassy candy canes. For today's project I'm using Mariner's Twister yarn. It's a double knit, kind of festive. It's shade 1008. So we're going to cast on as normal, and we're going to cast on 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Put our yarn in the yarn feeder. Now we don't just crank back the other way, we have to make sure that the yarn goes under this red bar. I often call it a noggin. Okay, so we have to crank until that yarn, and it takes a while before it falls under there. And even though you've come this far, these needles will not knit. Okay, so now we gather in this excess yarn, because this is excess yarn, as we crank back. So we just gather it in gently, and we can see that our yarn now is tucked around that red noggin of our last needle, needle 8. So back we go, and this is needle 1, and this is the red noggin to the right of needle 1. Pull that down a little bit there, and again we have to wait until the yarn has gone under that noggin. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Okay, again we've got waste yarn or excess yarn here, so we need to pull that in as we crank back the other way, and there we go. Now we're back to needle 8, red noggin, red bar, red stopper, whatever you want to call it. As the yarn goes underneath, pull back the excess yarn, crank back the other way under that bar there. There we go, simple as that. Back and forward we go under that bar there. There it goes. Pulling on our excess yarn till the yarn is nice and snug on that red bar or red noggin there, and we can go back again. Now sometimes the end needles will rise up and you just need to pop them down. Okay, so waiting for it to go under there before I crank back the other way, and there we go, there we go, under it goes, and then I know I can crank back the other way. I can crank back, there it goes, there, done. Pulling on the excess yarn, and back around we go. Under there, pull on the excess yarn, back around we go. There it goes, back around we go. Excess yarn, under the red noggin, and back around we go. And that's all it is. I'm going to pull these down a little bit, get a little bit of, there we go. So as soon as it's under that red bar, we know that we are safe to crank back the other way. There we go. So we need to push that down a little bit. Under the red bar there. Great stuff. Crank it back. Our yarn is nice and snug there, and as it slips under, that stitch now is secure on the end there. So for anybody that's been dreading having a go at panel knitting, it really isn't that bad. And again, this is a nice little project which you can do, so you come up with something at the end as well. And my dogs are barking again. We got us under that red bar noggin there, and back and forth we go again. I'm going to do this in real time so you can see that it's just a case of going back and forth, back and forth. And this you can do on any of the circular knitting machines. Okay, the fact I'm using a 22, it's got no bearing whatsoever on the fact that you could use a 40, a 46 or a 48. Just going to pull on that yarn a little bit and then put it down a little bit. There we are, as it's going under that red bar there, I know I'm safe to crank backwards. Under that red bar there, and I'm safe to crank the other way. I'll be doing 62 rows, okay? And when you get going, you can get a little bit of a speed up, you know, so it's actually, when you get your confidence that, I'm not showing off here now, okay? This is just to show you that when you get going, it's really not that bad. As long as you make sure it goes under the bar to the side of your first and last needles. There you go, it's just gone under there, so I know I can pull on that excess yarn and crank back the other way. It's gone under there, so I can pull on this excess yarn here. So that's nice and snug, and I can go back the other way. And we're on 50 rows now. So I see it's pretty quick to do it. But keep an eye on those end needles because they have got a tendency to rise up sometimes. So you just need to pop them back down. And I like to pull on the product as well, just to make sure that it's going down. And we're on 59. And I'm going to stop there at 61 purely because I know that I did a cast on row, okay? So now it's just a case of casting off. And there's our finished little panel, enough to do our project. So we'll assemble now, okay? So here we are at assembly stage. Now these are 14 centimetre bendy curlers, and what we need to do, like we've done with other projects, is to remove the plastic end from there. So we just need to loosen that off a little bit, that little clip, anyway, it pops off, okay? And we need to do that with one other. That off, there we go, they're gone. And then we just join these two together to make a longer tube. Okay, oops, so put them together like that, and then we'll squeeze the clip together like that. If I can. Ooh, fighting me all the way. There we go. There we go. There we are. They're fastened in there now, okay? So we can close that up like that. What I'm going to do then is I'll get a little bit of sellotape and I'll sellotape around that joint to stop it from coming apart. And now we need to do exactly the same thing with these two. So I've got 2 pieces of sellotape just to pop around that gap there, stop it from coming apart when we bend it into the shapes we want. There we go, job done. So now we need to take our knitted length, and what we're going to do is very, very simple. We're going to pop it in the middle and we're just going to sew it up the long seam. So however you sew, whether you do mattress stitch or ad hoc stitch like me, that's what we're going to do. We're going to stitch it up the length, okay? Don't seal the ends off on, this is the wreath one I'm doing, so don't seal the ends up on this one yet. We're going to leave those open, okay? and I'll show you why when we get to the end. Okay, so I'll probably fast forward through my ad hoc stitching here now. Okay. So there's our sausage, all covered in our knitted fabric, and what we're going to do now is we're going to keep that seam on the inside as we form it into a circle. And again, this is why I didn't want to seal up these ends, because we need to access these in order to lock the wreath together. So with a little bit of a fight, we will get rid of that one. And the same with that one. And again, we will loop the two hooks together. I think they're quite secure then to my way of thinking. Oops. Once you squeeze them together, of course. And I've got a little pliers somewhere. I just can't find them. There we go. That's all squeezed in. That's not going to come apart. Excellent. And again with a little bit of sellotape, just to seal that up there so it doesn't split at all. So just pull our yarn back a little bit. You don't have to do the sellotape, it's me belt and braces it is. There we go. There we are. Now we bring our yarn around into the centre and we just attach the two pieces together, and then we can twiddle a little more with our circle, making sure that everything is neat and tidy. And of course you've got the tails there now, so you can pull the tails in to cinch it in nice and neat. Okay, and now we just making sure that that seam is on the inside, and we just run a few stitches around now, securing our two pieces of sausage together. I love these little curlers for making little things. I think they're great. So I'll neaten up those ends now, and I'll show you that the next one is going to be exactly the same. Sew up, and then we'll add some embellishments. So we'll crack on with the other one, and it's exactly the same procedure, apart from the fact we won't be joining it into a circle because we're making this time a candy cane. So exactly the same thing, only this time we can cinch up the ends before we start, because we're doing a candy cane. We don't need to do any joins. And there we go. Don't be too forceful with it because the yarn will stretch, as you know. And again, just some stitching to stitch it together. And this is a DK yarn. I'm not sure what that is in the States. It's quite a lightweight yarn anyway. Although the other one I used on the wreath is supposed to be a DK, but it's definitely a lot thicker than DK. Anyway, I'll whiz through sewing this up now. And our panel knitting project is nearly done. To the end, we can cinch up and scooch our knitting up a little bit to cover the end there. There we go. And our candy cane is completely covered. A couple of little stitches and hide our yarn inside our work. Try and keep that little end right in the center of the end there, nice and neat. There we go, we have 2 sausages, one formed into a wreath ready to go, and the other one, which all we do is keep that seam on the inside and bend your candy cane over so the seam is on the inside. And this yarn is a little thin, so I would stick with if you're using anything thinner than a worsted, I think a little bit of the curl is going to show through, which is not so bad on this one because the yarn is mostly red and white, so it's kind of hidden by it. But if you had a blue, it would show through, I think. So this one is quite nice, it's covered quite well because it's more of a worsted weight. So there's your candy cane and your wreath, and all we need to do now is to decorate them. So now we're going to add some embellishments. This is the fun part as well. So I've got a pretty good bow that I've made. So with my trusty glue gun at the ready, dripping all over the place as usual, I'm just going to put a little blob of glue there. I'll put my lovely gold bow there. Leave that set for a little bit. And for my candy cane, I've got a ho 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 bow which I've made. So again with this one, I'm going to put a little blob of glue there, I think I need another glue gun. Bear with me a second. There we go. There we go. So a nice little bit of glue there, not too much, just enough to secure the bow. Pop that on and leave that set a little bit. There we go, watch them burn your fingers, which I did there a little bit. And I've got one of these pretty little leafy things from my stash. Again, we pick these things up and never remember where we got them from. Probably bought them in a sale or something last year. So I'm going to bend that up. And I'm just going to pop it on there like that. Probably not even going to glue it, to be honest, for my own use. And just, there we are, it's bendy and it wraps around the back there nicely. So I'm just going to leave that on there like that. There we go. Now all it needs now is something to hang it on the tree or wherever. So I've got some pretty silver and gold, I don't know, Christmassy thread, I guess. I'm using my Centro really large needle, and I'm going to just pop it through like that, and hopefully, because it is rather thick, yay, success. And I'm just going to tie it. Hopefully she's going to tie it. And that's a 10-inch piece I cut for it. I could have cut a little bit longer, I suppose. Ooh, tricky little thing, you. There we are. So feel free to cut a longer piece if you want it to hang. There we go. So we got, there we go there. So we got our little bit of hanging there, and we're going to do the same with our candy cane. But this yarn is thinner, so let's hope that it can take the strain. Thread it through there. This yarn is very thin actually. I love worsted weight, but I couldn't for the life of me find any Christmassy type yarn in my local stores yesterday, so I had to go with what I had. So again, we're going to tie a knot, and of course you can put your own. You could put some twine or even some of the matching yarn you could do, I guess. That'd be exactly be perfectly fine. It's just as usual, I got stuff hiding in my stash there. So there you go, there's the finished project. I hope you're not as scared of panel knitting as you were before we started this little Christmassy project. It really isn't as bad as all of that, just making sure that your yarn falls under the red noggin to that needle and the red noggin to the side of that needle. And that's our panel knitting project for the petrified and the proficient all done. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please tag me on Instagram if you make it, craftycaz33, that would be fantastic. And if you do find this project at all of use to you, especially in a monetary form, buy me a coffee by giving a little donation to your local animal charity, local animal shelter. Lovely to have you on board again, and I look forward to seeing you in 2022, although I do hope to get something out again before 2022. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. A Merry Christmas to you all, Nadolig Llawen, and I'll see you next time. Hwyl nawr.